45 seconds of logos.
What did you eat? You had rations for 2 weeks.
Starting at the end before flashing back to the beginning to show the whole movie to get us back to this first moment shown cliche.
How long did you think you were inside?
Thing my college girlfriend said to me after our first time somehow makes it into the movie.
And what do you know?
To be honest, I'm kinda lost, but that's okay, because I'm sure by the end of this movie it will all make perfect sense. This movie is daring you to truly watch it right out of the gate. And for now, it's kind of annoying how in my face this thing is, but eventually I'll probably be taking sins off for like this. Huh, the splitting of a cell. I wonder if this imagery is important and heavily weighted with symbolism.
By extension, all cells were ultimately born from one cell.
His name was Adam. I'll show myself out.
1 became 2, 2 became 4, then 8, 16, 32.
Until finally the NCAA settled on a field of 64, only to add 4 more play-in spots years later. Ways this movie is like Arrival Part 1. The main protagonist is recruited for a secret government field job while actively teaching college classes. We may or may not return to this list later. I see even my new sci-fi hero Alex Garland is a fan of the pan over some photographs to cover a bunch of exposition technique. I personally hate it and sin it. No one will be seated during the movie turns into a Glidden commercial for 5 minutes portion of the film. In a movie like this, it's hard to know what's a mistake and what's an intentional clue. But the fact that the paint behind her lessens from this to this in a matter of seconds has to be a mistake, right? 20 years from now, when people are doing documentaries on this movie that claim the comet creatures interact by changing the paint patterns, I want full credit. Her first clue something was wrong should have been that he didn't call her first before just showing up unannounced after like nearly 2 years.
You vanished off the face of the earth for 12 months.
Man, good thing he didn't have a brother hanging around that looked like Jake Gyllenhaal. Movie knows Natalie is our protagonist, so it starts to go dark, but then is compelled to give us this Oscar Isaac is bleeding out shot before cutting to the Area X title card. And the movie should have picked one of these 3 things to punctuate instead of trying for all 3 at once. Also, ways this movie is like Arrival Part 2. This Area X reminds me of Area 51, which makes me think of aliens, which makes this the second thing this movie has in common with Arrival. She wakes up in this position, and my question is, who sleeps in this position?
It's a hangover from the sedative you were given.
A hangover from the sedative she was given against her will, I think you mean to say. Also, her clothes were clearly changed while she was unconscious, and that's just not cool. I have no faith this facility did that with tact and proper sensitivity.
Your research area is the genetically programmed life cycle of a cell.
I see we've reached the character telling another character things they know about themselves, but the audience doesn't portion of the exposition. My favorite.
I want to see a lawyer.
You're not going to be able to see a lawyer.
The U.S. government, ladies and gentlemen. Why would a workplace this dedicated to understanding and stopping the Shimmer not use blackout windows to keep their workers from constantly being blinded while doing their jobs? My God, it's amazing. Why not start here with your recruiting instead of all the cell block interrogation?
We have many theories, few facts.
Twitter. Also, if you don't know what's going on with this event, do you think maybe setting up this close to it with this many people is a good idea? Maybe a sparser event base here and then set up your full operation center out of harm's reach?
Since then, we've approached by land, by sea, sent in drones, animals, and teams of people. But nothing comes back.
Maybe it's just that righteous in there, though. You ever think of that? Maybe it's not evil sucking them in, but a glorious party that no one ever wants to leave. This movie is doing battle with X-Men Apocalypse for the worst use of Oscar Isaac Award. Not gonna lie, looks like bubbles before you blow them through a hoop. Looks like an oil spill. Over 19 minutes in, and she still hasn't entered the Shimmer jungle. You forgot how long this movie takes futzing around with opening Foreshadow's position.
Tells you that if you step outside and you look up, we'll be looking at the same stars.
Of all the movies that I thought this might be influenced by or borrow from, I was not expecting An American Tail to top the list. If he starts waxing philosophical about how there are no cats in America, I'll remove every last sin immediately. So where do you think we should set up the lounge and snacking area? What about outside on the roof, a few hundred yards from the unexplained cosmic phenomenon that has disappeared every soul that's entered it? Sounds perfect. I'll order the picnic tables.
What do you think happened to them? Well, there are 2 theories of what went wrong in the Shimmer.
Only 2?
1, something kills them. 2, they go crazy and kill each other.
Or couldn't it just be that it's easy to enter but impossible to get out? Seems to me the most plausible theory would be one-way passage, followed closely by teleportation. But sure, let's go with the 2 darkest theories as the only options. You know, for tension and stuff. Conveniently sleeping caregiver is conveniently sleeping. I'm curious, why do they have a huge room of plastic all around him but leave the zipper door wide the open? Does he need a clean environment or not? We've already seen the hazmats and such used for Oscar Isaac's return, so why is this group of scientists approaching the Shimmer completely exposed? It's almost like they think they can avoid a sin for taking off their helmets too soon if they don't wear them in the first place. Nice try, movie. There are many reasons I should probably take a sin off for this movie. The striking visuals, the metaphoric wonder, Oscar Isaac without a shirt on, but the reason I'm going with is that this badass all-female science crew is just a matter-of-fact part of the story. Never feels forced and absolutely rules. I know we haven't been privy to all the experiments, but it appears you are still visible for a bit once you are inside the Shimmer. So why haven't they tried to do barrier tests and set up barrier communications inside, where there is obvious visual communication available from directly inside?
I don't remember anything. After we reached the tree line, none of us do.
And we did a food inventory. From the depletion, it looks like we've been out here for at least 3 or 4 days.
Okay, that's freaky. I once got so face drunk in Chicago that Chris and Barrett took me back to the hotel and up to my room, and I proceeded to go downstairs to the bar, drink a bottle of wine, walk 3 blocks to Walgreens, call my wife, and order room service, and the next morning I didn't remember any of it, and it freaked me out, dude. Losing time is one of the most frightening things ever, and this is officially a horror movie in my eyes at this point.
Let's pack up and get moving. We've already lost a lot of the day.
You lost 4 days, lady. Also, am I the only one that would be saying, this, I'm out, and headed back out of the Shimmer? Or at least tried to leave, even if it's impossible?
It's like they're stuck in a continuous mutation.
Kinda like Miley Cyrus. I really need to get a hold of the textbook for the Doing Science in an Unknown Environment 101 class, because I can't wait to read the chapter entitled The Importance of Sticking Your Unprotected Face into Every Strange Thing You See.
It's on my back!
Whatever croc monster has grabbed the first girl, let's go, and then doesn't grab any of all the girls right here. There are rainbow shimmer visuals everywhere in this movie, and I'm honestly not sure if it's genius or ham-handed. One thing this movie accomplished for sure is making me want to see a Terrence Malick science fiction film. If this were The Walking Dead, they'd set a whole season here.
This used to be the headquarters of the Southern Reach before the Shimmer swallowed it.
So you're telling me you built so close that the Shimmer swallowed your HQ and you still didn't learn your lesson? Fool me once, Shimmer on me. Fool me twice, Shimmer limmer ding dong.
Malignant. Like tumors.
Persistent like rumors, wank and cranky like old boomers, can't take a lick with any good humor. Legit looks like a starting civilization map. Despite the wide open door window at the end of the hall, these ladies all drop bags and walk casually, as though they didn't already encounter a sudden sarlacc-throated crocoshark.
It's working.
Of course it is, because everything that needs to work for plot movement still works, and everything that needs to not work to keep the tension doesn't, because reasons. Hollywood, I do not need to see amateur surgery on screen. You can imply that and make everyone squirm without showing the full cut that makes a ton of your audience gag or have PTSD, Jesus.
There was something alive inside that man.
No, that was a trick of the light.
It obviously wasn't. Maybe the movie is trying to say something about denial here, but I would think any scientist worth her salt could observe clear data and not draw such unreasonable conclusions.
I'm not gonna watch it again!
I'm a scientist, damn it! Scientists find things based on single experiences and not continued observation of data. Look at this giant pool. Either they built this sprawling complex to study this phenomenon or they took over an existing structure. Either way, I didn't give my tax dollars for Olympic-sized shimmer pools. But also, why have a pool with a deep end over 15 feet deep if you're not going to have a diving board on the deep end? Yes, the wall-attached art project former human is gross, and there are more important issues at hand. But still, if you're only using the pool for swimming and not diving, do you need a deep end 15 feet deep? Because I don't think you do. Man, this movie sure does play to its mood, doesn't it? I get that that's part of the art and tone and such, but do we really need several ponderous close-ups of cell mutations throughout? Asking for an extra 20 minutes of my life I'd like back.
Mystery unraveling. Something's unraveling.
That could be my patience, because the mystery remains completely and totally raveled. In fact, this movie is pretty much 95% questions, 0% answers, and 5% ominous atmosphere to distract you from the 0% answers.
I'm done sleeping for the night.
And you remember your previous day? Because earlier you all woke up with 4 days missing and lots of amnesia. Any chance we'll ever dig into that idea at all?
You okay?
How the could she be okay? How can you even ask this question? I'm surprised the answer isn't, nah man, I'm pretty far from okay. Shepard!
We have to go back. We have to go back now.
She's right.
Wait, is going back an option? What part of no one has come back in 3 years makes them think they can go back? And why has no one done any quick return test missions to confirm this?
I'm coming with you.
Go alone.
Why? You think Shepard might have been partially eaten by something, and you would rather be a loner than have backup? This feels like a decision the screenwriter made, not the character. I guess if you took someone with you, you'd have an extra pair of hands to help, extra eyes to look out, and someone to verify anything you saw, and really, who wants that?
Did you find her?
Yeah. She's dead.
I'm sure this will never be an issue.
It's literally not possible.
It's literally what's happening.
This entire movie.
The Shimmer is a prism, but it refracts everything. Not just light and radio waves. Animal DNA, plant DNA.
Waves can be refracted because they are waves, but DNA is a biological building block. It's a literal microscopic object. This makes as much sense as saying the Shimmer is refracting my ball sack.
This is a mistake. Okay.
Was the mistake including this 3-minute section about an affair that the movie hasn't really cared about for over an hour, and so we don't really either? I'm sure it has something to do with a metaphor or some such, but why does any of this matter when there were gator sharks and tree people? Get me back to gator sharks, damn it! Well, this f***ing Skeletor demon bear is the scariest thing ever put to film since maybe the Twilight Baby. Legitimately one of the most terrifying scenes of the last 20 years, so I'm knocking 2 sins off.
Don't react.
Right, because it's a T-Rex.
I think as she was dying, part of her mind became part of the creature that was killing her.
What? I think this movie started as science fiction and has taken a journey to science what the f***tion. And I can't tell if that's thrilling or infuriating, so let's go with infuriating.
Josie!
We saw flowers growing out of Josie's arms, but is the movie insinuating she turned into one of these humanitrees? Is that how they all got here? If so, what happened to their clothing? This Josie and the Pussy Willow situation just isn't adding up.
One by one, all gone, except you.
Hazmat Benedict Wong would be excellent at CinemaSins. This is totally a normal way people stand in profile to look at something in the distance when they aren't posing for a cinematic hero shot. Guess I won't be needing this anymore. Imagine how infuriated people would be if the movie just ended right there. She goes in the lighthouse and that's all you ever learn. Fortunately, there's a bit more to watch. Unfortunately, there's not much more to learn if I'm being honest, but it's still cool as f***. I know there's like alien bullshit going on and stuff, but the batteries on the cameras in this movie last forever. Also, who rewound the tape? There's no way he edited this, so dude was randomly recording in 2-second intervals, several seconds or minutes apart, and that's weird. This skeletal layout contains 5 torsos and at least 9 skulls, so at the very least, this sin is for not using all the bone art supplies available. Imagine the fun you could have with 5 extra torsos. He turns and it's another Kane, and she shuts off the recording? Yeah, it's freaky, but your ass definitely wants to know more. Like, she's going to go into the hole before watching the rest of that tape. That's nuts! Look, I don't know your theories on lighthouses that have buttholes, but if I'm ever near a lighthouse's butthole, I am not climbing it.
Our bodies and our minds will be fragmented into their smallest parts until not one part remains. Annihilation.
Roll credits. Ah, sudden Dark Phoenix. Much of what happens here in the next 5 minutes is too confusing for me to sin in specific ways, so I'm going to add 3 sins here, and now for the movie being confusing. No need for drugs here, kids. The movie is literally turning into drugs right before your eyes. Good drugs, too. I have absolutely no idea what's going on, or what any of this means, or even if I'm supposed to. Yet this is some of the most beautiful nonsense I've ever seen. In the history of movie what the f***, I have rarely felt this thoroughly what the f***. In the end, the Shimmer alien's undoing was its complete disregard for fire safety from top to bottom. So, aliens?
Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa bop, shimmy, shimmy, rock, shimmy, shimmy, cocoa bop, shimmy, shimmy, rock.
I'll work a no play.
Make Homer something, something.
You know what? You are disrespectful, seriously.
Captain, Commander, you can call me whatever you like. I just want to know what's going on.
Of course you do.
Got this.
What the hell are you wearing?
It's my suit.
Ah, good. Stand about. Nah, bow, bow.
Nicotine, nicotine, rustical quality, will it be quality now, now, now? She churns the butter in her dazzle boots. Thistlety, rustlety, now, now, now.
Don't react.
Can't see us if we don't move.
All right. I was 12. His name was Paulo. We were both in the legislative youth program. He was a few years older than I.